Salutations, dear viewers. This is George from Ireland, and this video is about Donald Trump's trade war. Well, it was just typical of this very erratic president to make policy on the hoof. From out of nowhere, he said that he was going to start a trade war, and they're easy to win. Can you think of any examples of trade wars that the United States has won in recent decades? I can't. Now, it was a campaign pledge of his to do something like this, to end free trade, America first. But after over a year in office, he's finally doing something about it. And the timing, I think, is significant. There doesn't appear to be any impact assessment of the policy, which he has now propounded. And these figures for tariffs seem to have been plucked out of the air. No rationale given for them. President Trump does not appear to have sought expert opinion, hasn't cited any experts as backing up his policy, and he's not buttressed this with any case studies of how this is going to pan out. He professes disdain for knowledge, perhaps because he has so little himself. It makes me call to mind what Al Gore said around 2004, that the Democrats were the reality-based community, whereas Republicans weren't. Back then, that seemed to be largely nonsense. It doesn't appear to be nonsense anymore. Donald J. Trump vaunts this trade war as easily winnable. Well, even if that is so, and it's a very big if, there will be casualties along the way. And almost everyone agrees that the United States will lose more jobs than gain by such a trade war. Because the United States raises tariffs, other countries will retaliate and respond in kind. And it doesn't stop there. They can go up and up and up and hit the things that the United States tends to export, not steal. The one metric that was positive for Trump so far in his administration was the stock market. And he played that card for all it's worth, saying we've got the highest stock market figures ever. Now that's true, but the stock market rises generally. Almost every year, the stock market ends considerably higher than it began. And yes, there are occasional dips, but the overall trend is upward. No one disputes that. Trump's remarks sent the stock market into a nosedive immediately. Billions of dollars were wiped off it within hours of his moronic outburst. So it shows his lack of self-discipline. And the commander-in-chief ought to be setting an example of discipline for others. So he's utterly unreliable, can't even rely on himself. He's compulsive, and he just can't control these impulses to create chaos and draw attention to himself. There's anarchy in the White House, with people leaving all the time and many ambassadorial positions unfilled. What does that say to another country when the United States can't be bothered to send an ambassador for over a year? The relationship's not important. These other countries will obviously be orienting towards China, Russia, the European Union, whoever it is, as a major power bloc with which to build a cordial relationship. This latest lunacy on trade war is not going to help America's image abroad. Trump perceives everything as a zero-sum game. It's always about bullying. It's always about strong-arming people. And that's the way he's behaved in his business life. He uses quite violent imagery, saying that the Chinese were raping us in terms of trade. Well, what a revolting thing to say. And how disrespectful to rape victims. Buying and selling is comparable to rape. Trade. Americans don't have to buy Chinese products if they don't want to. They purchase them because of the quality and their price. But Trump may yet perform a volte-face. He's done this on Iraq, on Afghanistan, on abortion, on gun control, on the degree of espionage that's going to be carried out domestically, and often within days, doing a complete about-face. These are all touchstone issues. So Trump may well turn through 180 degrees on this issue. Perhaps people can talk sense to him. And he doesn't appear to seek counsel from those who are in the know about these things. And some Republicans are aghast at this particularly idiotic announcement, because even if this policy is not followed through with, the very statement has been enormously damaging to the US economy. It reminds me how Republicans used to deride John Kerry as a flip-flopper. Look how much Trump has flip-flopped. Oddly, they don't think that he is feeble for pivoting all the time. It's ridiculous to frame tariffs as a national security issue. National security is a real thing, but so often it's abused for the purpose of covering up government embarrassment or unwarrantable policies or intrusions on civil liberty. George W. Bush did the same thing with steel tariffs shortly after he was elected president. There may be method to Trump's madness. These steel tariffs will appease steel workers, and people in Rust Belt states are a core constituency for Trump. They want to make America great again. But it's unlikely that many of these blue-collar jobs can come back. Smokestack industries have declined generally in Western countries. So countries like the United States are becoming post-industrial. But were it not for some of these unemployed steel workers, Trump would not be in the White House. He's got to do something for them. So is he perhaps playing his last card as he sees his ratings plummet? Admittedly, his ratings picked up a little bit when he said let's arm teachers. The steel tariff madness distracts attention from his other travails. There are all these payments to Stormy Daniels, and the White House can't get its story straight on this. They say there was arbitration, that they won an arbitration, but surely arbitration cannot be won or lost. The very word means a negotiation. Moreover, if this has got nothing to do with Trump, as his lawyer, how can Trump have won it? So he is a party to it. So they lied about that, saying when it's got no connection with him. Why are they paying Stormy Daniels not to talk about Trump's sex life? Unless, of course, she had sex with him. Paternity? Why not to talk about Trump's paternity information? That can only be because he must have impregnated her. She hasn't given birth to his child, ergo she must have had an abortion of his child, and that doesn't look good for someone who's so pro-life. Well, family values. These are quite some family values. Adultery with a porn star followed by abortion. Do the Christian fundamentalists really want to support such a man? Where are their morals now? Paying Stormy Daniels to destroy tapes and images of what? Can only be of sexual activity with Donald J. Trump. So she could only know about this if he was committing adultery with her. The Defense Secretary says that these steel tariffs will enfeeble American national security. This will hit NATO countries. Trump talked about the military relationship with Sweden recently, showing his ignorance again. Sweden's a neutral country. Sweden has never helped the United States in any conflict. Sweden hasn't fought at all in over 200 years. So it could seem that he actually wants to jeopardize national security by alienating NATO allies. So why is he doing this? Perhaps his paymasters ordered him to do it. Well, he's a faithful servant.